Some TV shows quietly break into the public consciousness. Others explode, polarizing viewers, dominating headlines, and sparking debates everywhere. Emily in Paris is the second kind. Since its debut in October 2020, it has been both widely criticized and widely watched. It's a show that critics call shallow, yet it remains a streaming success. It's called culturally insensitive, yet it inspired tourism in Paris and remains one of Netflix's most talked about series. Today, we're asking a bigger question. What if the reason people hate Emily in Paris isn't because it's bad, but because they're judging it by standards it never asked to meet? Before we unpack that, make sure you're subscribed. If you like deep takes that go beyond critics' headlines to find why millions actually watch something, you're in the right place. Emily in Paris. What it is. At its core, Emily in Paris is a simple premise. Emily Cooper, a young American woman from the Midwest, moves to Paris to work at a French marketing firm and bring an American marketing perspective to the table. That's it. It's a rom-com. It's a workplace comedy drama. No one pretends it's political satire. No one pretends it's heavy art cinema. But because it's set in a real city with real cultures, audiences expect real depth. And that's where the conflict starts. Across 5 seasons, its critical reception has constantly hovered in that mixed range, suggesting divided opinions rather than universal acclaim or rejection. Season approval ratings have bounced in the low to mid-60s on critics' aggregators. Fans score it lower on audience meters, but still keep watching. Some reviews call it frothy, others call it visually delectable, and still others joke that it's like scrolling through Instagram. The criticism. Let's break it down. Here's a list of the most common criticisms critics and audiences have made about Emily in Paris. And they're real. 1. Clichés and stereotypes. French culture is full of caricatures. The aloof Parisian co-workers, the lazy wine-loving locals, the constant fashion snobbery. Critics in France and elsewhere have pointed out that many of these portrayals are exaggerated, cliché, and unrealistic. 2. Unrealistic characters. Many reviewers mention that Emily rarely faces believable consequences for her actions. Critics say she lacks real growth over whole seasons, and other characters bend to accommodate her worldview. 3. Superficial plotting. Fair or not, the show often feels like a series of lifestyle moments stitched together because it focuses more on aesthetic and spectacle than meaningful conflict. 4. Fashion-forward but not reality-based. Emily's outfits, constantly high-end dresses, impractical heels, and vibrant designer pieces are fun for viewers, but they're far from how most people actually live in Paris. Critics compare this to unrealistic depictions in shows like Sex and the City. 5. Tone and messaging. Some critics have even discussed whether the show's emphasis on glamour and consumerism reinforces late capitalist fantasies more than it tells human stories. In short, critics feel the show prioritizes style over substance. But here's the twist. Why all this criticism isn't enough to kill the show. Despite all those critiques, Emily in Paris keeps coming back season after season. Now 5 seasons deep with hints of season 6 on the horizon. How can that be? Let's break this down from the audience's point of view. 1. People just want to escape. Many viewers don't tune in for realism. They want a fantasy, a feel-good experience, a world where passion, romance, and glamour overshadow hassles like rent, bills, discrimination, or emotional complexity. This isn't accidental, it's the design of the show. After years of political polarization, economic uncertainty, and social pressure, a world where an effortlessly optimistic woman moves to Paris and navigates life with flair can feel good even if it's not real. Rotten Tomatoes critics' consensus has described the show as rom-com fantasy at its finest, and many reviewers note that escapism is part of its appeal. This leads us to something important: escapism, the secret product. When people say Emily in Paris is unrealistic, they're right, but that's not why its audience watches it. It's about a sensory experience, pretty locations, stylish outfits, dramatic but lightweight storylines, charming, shallow romances, Parisian vistas that feel intimate but not demanding. A lot of fans describe the show as a comfort watch, something that doesn't ask you to think hard, just lets you drift into another world for a few hours. This kind of escapism is not new, just packaged differently. Think of it as a visual daydream rather than a narrative workshop. Why it's also a guilty pleasure. Part of the show's popularity is its guilty pleasure status. Many people publicly criticize it, but privately binge it anyway. This disconnect is a cultural phenomenon. You hate the show's flaws, but you love the comfort it provides. You roll your eyes at the clichés, but you keep watching. This duality is so pervasive that it's part of the show's identity now. That's why statistics show the series remains watchable and engaging, even though critics continue to call it shallow. What French audiences really think. For a long time, the show was widely seen as insulting to the French, especially in its early seasons. Many French commentators pointed out that Emily in Paris leaned heavily on clichés about French people and culture. Examples included waiters depicted as rude, characters shown as dismissive of work ethic, stereotypes about flirtatious or lazy French professionals. Critics argued these portrayals were shallow caricatures rather than nuanced depictions. And yet, the French public response was not uniformly negative. Some locals embraced the show as a lighthearted fantasy, and it even helped drive tourism to real locations featured in the series, a phenomenon some called the Emily effect. So while many French critics mocked the stereotypes, the broader audience didn't reject the show outright. The business behind the criticism. There's also an interesting bit of controversy involving the Golden Globe nominations for Emily in Paris. When the show received award nominations early in its run, some critics suggested that promotional trips and lavish hospitality for voters may have influenced perceptions, a claim that sparked debate about how awards are decided. This doesn't by itself prove anything about the show's quality, but it shows just how contested its reputation has been from the start. Why audience and critic scores differ. Interestingly, the show's critic ratings and audience ratings often diverge sharply. On Rotten Tomatoes, critics' scores for seasons generally sit in the low to mid-60s, mixed but not terrible, while audience scores tend to be lower, suggesting people think they hate the show but still stream it. This gap tells us something important. Criticism is more about expectations, what viewers think the show should be, rather than what it actually is. People go into it expecting meaningful drama and walk away disappointed because that's not the show's goal. The role of employer and character arc. Part of the critical frustration is focused on Emily herself. Many voices in reviews highlight that Emily is overly confident, unrealistic as a foreign worker, often oblivious to cultural norms, rarely punished by the story for her mistakes. Critics say she doesn't show significant character growth even after seasons of drama. Some reviews describe her as an embodiment of American individualism, a trope more than a fully realized character. That's a legitimate creative choice, but it's also a frequent source of disagreement. Why people keep watching. So why do viewers keep tuning in? At its heart, Emily in Paris delivers. Visual delight. Paris and now Rome are shown as dreamlike, stylized worlds. Fashion fantasies. Outfits and style moments are as talked about as the narrative. Lighthearted escapism. No heavy themes, no long moral reckonings. Predictable entertainment. Familiar story beats make it comfortable, not confusing. Guilty pleasure vibes. People watch even while acknowledging it's shallow. That's a formula for comfort television, not critically acclaimed drama. Final verdict. What people really misunderstand. So what does everyone get wrong about Emily in Paris? They expect depth, complexity, and realism. But the show doesn't attempt those things. It's a visual daydream, a popcorn fantasy, a tourist lens escapism show. And that's exactly why it found an audience. Is it the most nuanced storytelling on TV? No. Is it beautiful, fun, and appealing in a certain way? Yes. And that's why millions keep watching, despite all the criticism. It's not that critics are wrong. It's that they're evaluating the show as something it never claimed to be. If you enjoyed this deep dive with real facts and context, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Do you think escapist shows deserve criticism, or are they exactly what viewers need right now? See you in the next video.